The red needle on the bunker's seismic monitor jerked, once sharp as a scalpel slicing silk. Not the apocalyptic thunder of a silo door grinding open in the Siberian taiga, but a whisper from 300 kilometers away. Major Yuri Petrov, chief of early warning at the PVO Strany command post beneath Yamantau Mountain, leaned closer. His breath fogged the glass. In the dim glow of cathode-ray tubes, the plot showed clean. No mass salvo, no MIRV swarm blotting the sky. Just one anomaly, inbound at Mach 0.8, hugging the terrain like a ghost in the Urals fog. Soviet generals had built an empire on the certainty of mutual annihilation. Their SS-20 Sabre missiles, 4,000 kilometers of reach, 150 kiloton yields, stood as colossi in hardened silos, shrouded in 2-meter-thick ferroconcrete domes rated for 300 psi overpressure. The doctrine was ironclad. Any American first strike would summon the firestorm. Petrov's screens confirmed it daily. SALT-2 telemetry showed parity, 26,000 warheads apiece. The Politburo slept soundly in their Cheget briefcases linked to dead hand. Nukes were the great equalizer, a political sword dangling over Washington. No sane general crossed that Rubicon, but that needle lied. Petrov slammed the intercom. "Comrade Colonel, bogey at grid 5729, elevation 150 meters. Radar silent. Negative on hen house." The room erupted in the stale suck of ventilation fans recycling diesel particulates and chain-smoked Belomorkin fumes. Deep in the Chelyabinsk 70 complex, October 1983, the air hung thick with the tang of overheated resistors and unwashed urgency. Sweat beaded on Petrov's temples despite the 18-degree-C chill. The bunker's walls, 10 meters of granite laced with tantalum shielding, pressed in like a submarine hull at crush depth. This was their fortress, PVO Strany, the world's densest air defense net. 10,000 SA-5 Gammon batteries, each with 200 kilovar illuminators scanning at 30 millinerds, layered behind A-50 mainstays orbiting at 10,000 meters with phased array lookdowns. Nothing penetrated, nothing. They trusted it because the math didn't lie. Soviet physics professors at Bauman drilled it home. American B-52s lumbered at 250 knots, their radar cross-sections bloated at 100 square meters. Even the stealthy F-117, rumors from defectors, couldn't evade the doghouse's 0.1 M2 resolution at 40 GHz. Blindagem in excess, triple redundant hydrophones in the Barents, over-the-horizon bounce radars pinging at 10 metadollar peak power. The Pact's doctrine fetishized quantity, swarmed the sky with 50,000 AA gunners trained to vector flankers into the blind spots. Hubris? No, calculation. In war games at Frunze Academy, NATO bombers died in droves before breaching the FIBA. Petrov's console spat static. The anomaly, call sign Spectre 1, skipped valleys like a stone on water, Doppler shift masking it amid ground clutter. No heat plume on IRST, no glint on optics. "It's a glitch," growled Colonel Kuznetsov, his metals clinking like loose change. "American decoy drone subsonic. Gammon locks at 50 clicks. Orders flew. Scrambled 2 Su-27 regiments from Lipetsk. Scrambled talisman jammers at 500 kilometer. The net closed. SA-10 grumbles elevating. Their 36 D-32 missiles slaved to tombstone radars painting 120-degree sectors. Then the glitch pierced the heart. At 1427 Zulu, Spectre 1 materialized 20 kilometers from the primary C2 node, a nondescript dacha outside Sverdlovsk, housing the General Staff's decapitation reserve. No explosion, no cratering blast, just a surgical puncture. The roof peeled back like foil, a 500-pound unitary warhead threading a 2-meter vent stack. Inside, holographic maps froze mid-update. 3 lieutenant colonels vaporized in a flash of PBXN 109. Their Cheget codes silenced before fingers twitched. The bunker feeds went black, fiber optics severed with millimetric precision. Panic clawed the air. "Magia Chernaya," Petrov whispered, crossing himself under his uniform. Black magic. The screens reformed. Second bogey, third, dozens now, forking from a B-1 mothership loitering at 15,000 meters over the Caspian. Each a Tomahawk Block 3, Turcom-guided Phantom slinging through the Kama River Gorge at 150 meters AGL. Soviet radars, tuned for high-altitude bombers, drowned in multipath returns, their jammers, brute force noise at VHF, washed useless against INS GPS hybrids accurate to 3 meters CP. Kuznetsov barked denials into the secure line to the Kremlin. Propaganda exercise, comrades. NATO feint. No penetration. But the after-action logs whispered treason. Mock warhead casings etched with Pershing II Sim. No nukes, no fallout. Just the scalpel carving the spine. Up in the Yamantau nerve center, generals mopped brows slick with the bunker's recycled humidity. Marshal Nikolai Ogarkov paced the obsidian table, his face a mask of volcanic restraint. He'd seen the CIA briefings smuggled via Mitrokhin, Tomahawks prototyped at China Lake in '77, laser-guided Pavoways shredding mock silos at Tonopah. But this? They built a beastery, he muttered to Akramayev. We built a sledgehammer that poisons its wielder. The room fell silent save the needle's eternal twitch. Outside, the Urals whined, howled, indifferent. Petrov stared at the ghost trace fading from his scope. Nukes promised apocalypse, symmetric, survivable in the Politburo's fever dreams. But this precision heresy? It meant death without reply. A missile through the Kremlin's own window. Leadership snuffed like candles, while Moscow stood intact. No mad shield, just unilateral harvest. If you've ever wondered how the West hid these ghosts in plain sight, subscribe now, hit the bell. The labs that birthed them await in the chapters ahead. But first, the Soviets' desperate scramble to explain the unexplainable. In the Kremlin's 4th Directorate War Room, buried under 40 meters of reinforced concrete and niobium Faraday cages, the air turned rancid with Georgian cognac and pall-mall desperation. It was 0200 hours, October 14th, 1983, 2 days after Sverdlovsk's phantom strike. Marshal Ogarkov loomed over the Ural-14 map projector, its xenon lamps casting blood-red grids across faces etched by 48 hours without sleep. The Politburo's inner sanctum pulsed with the low thrum of diesel generators. 2 Mendalor feeding banks of BESM-6 computers, churning telemetry from 1,500 early warning stations. Granite walls, slathered in 50mm lead sheeting to block EM pulses, trapped the heat. 28 degrees C and climbing, sweat pooling in collarbones like mercury. Weapons-grade glitch, declared General Varenikov, slamming a fist that rattled the samovar. His theory dominated the chalkboards. American decoy drones, sub-100 Kielgi pop-ups from Pershing II carriers probing salt telemetry. Turcom fakes, civilian LORAN C signals bounced off civilian airliners. Our henhouse overreach at 8 MHz, drowned in ionospheric noise. Launch windows spoofed via Chicago blackout simulators. Nods rippled. It fit the doctrine. NATO's toys were bulky, predictable. BGM-109 prototypes, leaked from Honeywell docks, relied on 400 kHz radar altimeters, blind in the Urals' magnetic anomalies. Soviet countermeasures? Flood the spectrum, 10 GW jammers from Gomel, chaff corridors at 500,000 dipoles per square kilometer. The hammer would crush the insect. Ogarkov's eyes narrowed, tracing the ghost track. Ingress via Kama Valley, pop-up at 30 meters, egress masked in thunderstorm clutter. Hubris armored them. The Pax Air Defense Bible, Vozdushnaya Oborona, 1979 edition, preached volume, 12,000 S-300 PMU launchers by 85, each tombstone radar resolving 0.05 M2 at 150 km with 1 B-1 Medalar gallium arsenide arrays. American cruise missiles? Fat targets at Mach 0.55, 5.5-meter wingspan screaming RCS signatures. Frunze war games proved it. Blue Swarm hit 80% intercept before 200 kilometers from FIBA. No penetration without saturation, 10,000 bogeys minimum. This? One needle prick. Spies, Varenikov pressed. Mitrokhin worms in Chelyabinsk 70 fed real-time grids. Or ARPA's ARPANET, hacking our Melcom links, packet injection via Finnish relays. The room bought it. Akramayev scribbled orders. Purge 2,000 officers in Western Military District. Triple Melcom encryption with GOS 28147889 algorithms. Field tests ramped. Lipetsk MiG-31s with Zaslan M radars at 60 GHz. Foxhounds Fox-3ing Mach Tomahawks over Kazakhstan. Kill ratios soared. 95% in vacuum trials. But anomalies crept. Test drone number 47 vanished mid-run, reappearing 80 km off plot. Roof punctured like Sverdlovsk. Wind shear, technicians muttered, falsifying anemometers. Ogarkov smelled rot. He'd read the smuggled Janes, USGY-1 inertial platforms, ring laser gyros drifting 0.01 per hour. Soviet sins lagged at 1 hour, yet denial calcified. Nukes are the threat, Gorbachev's proxy intoned from the hotline. This feint diverts from SDI lasers. Deeper in Yamantau's level 7, Petrov's team dissected wreckage. A mangled casing, no warhead residue, just Turcom cassette guts. Digital tape etched with Ural's contours from Keyhole 11 overflights. Civilian recon, Kuznetsov barked. Theory 2, Elint balloons. High-altitude constant Phoenix derivatives lofted from Thule, seeding microwave correlators. Soviet response? Ballistic nets, SS-21 Scarabs retasked for low-altitude intercepts, 150 kg payloads at Mach 4, drills in the Volga, 100% splash. But Petrov's oscilloscopes lied again. The anomaly's Doppler was clean terrain follow, no balloon sway. Sweat stung his eyes. The bunker's CO2 scrubbers wheezed, humidity at 85%, uniforms clinging like sodden newsprint. Panic metastasized to the general staff. Ustinov convened the Phantom Commission, 20 eggheads from NIIP Raduga, authors of the AS-15 Kent. Hypothesis 3. Metamaterial decoys, Western black radar absorbers bending VHF like mirages. Specs flown from Zhukovsky, RPV gliders with Jaipur ferret coatings, 40 dBsm at 3 GHz. Counter? Brutality. SA-10s retuned to 10 GHz K-band, burning through stealth with 300 kOF pulses. Billions rubles poured. New Pokrishkin arrays, 0.01 M2 floor. Victory parades planned. Yet field reports hemorrhaged. Mock strikes on Murmansk docks. 3 pier cranes surgically felled. No shrapnel scatter. Sabotage, the commission chorused. KGB dossiers swelled. 200 arrests, torture chambers in Lefortovo humming. Ogarkov alone dissented, pacing the cognac haze. Bistry, he growled to close doors. Their sledgehammer, MiG-25 Foxbats at 90,000 feet, AS-4 kitchens with 500-kilometer radar rides, smashed indiscriminately, fallout dooming the motherland. Nukes, abstract chess, Politburo bunkers stocked with 10-year rations. But this scalpel sliced command without apocalypse. No reply launch, just silence. Leaders ash and ventilated precision. The commission's math fractured under his glare. CEP claims of 10 meters? Impossible without stars. Soviet GLONASS lagged years behind Navstar's 24 satellite net. Atomic clocks ticking cesium to 10 hours to 13 seconds. By dawn, the verdict ossified. NATO bluff. Escalate SS-20s to 800. Cables flew to Brezhnev's deathbed. Petrov, demoted to data clerk, watched needles dance unbidden. The ghosts multiplied in sims, forking from B-52G arcs, evading SA-5 curtains via nap of Earth at 50 meters. Wrong theories piled like cordwood, each rational scaffold crumbling. Heat clawed the vents. Whispers of treason laced the smoke. No one dared the truth. America's labs had rewritten physics, not magic, machined heresy. The scalpel's edge awaited revelation. Cut to the blinding Mojave sun, March 1976. China Lake Naval Weapons Center, Ridgecrest, California. 40 miles of bone-dry salt flats ringed by Joshua trees clawing at 1,200 meters. No granite fortresses here, just wind-scoured hangars of corrugated aluminum, vibrating with the scream of J-52 turbojets spooling to 12,000 RPM. Inside Test Stand 15, a squat gray tube, 54 feet long, 20 inches diameter, hunkered on rails, its pop-out wings folded like a hornet's elbows. Engineers in Nomex flight suits circled it, clipboards slick with sweat under halogens flickering at 5,000 lux. This was Griffon 01, the first BGM-109 Tomahawk air-launched prototype. No fanfare, no Politburo parades, just physics, machined to heresy. They called it the revolution in military affairs. DARPA's Jack Ruina had sketched it in 72 memos. Conventional decapitation without mad fallout. Forget kiloton fireballs. Precision was the blade. Soviets stacked 10,000 SA-5s like cordwood, brute radars at 30 MHz guzzling megawatts to swat high flyers. America built ghosts, low, slow, invisible. The scalpel's edge? Terrain contour matching. Turcom, a digital brain-slurping radar altimeter pings at 400 kHz. Cross-refed against 69 onboard cassette tapes etched with 3D Urals topography from KH-9 hexagon overflights. Error budget? 30 meters CEP at 1,000 kilometers. Soviet SINS gyros drifted Verningauer on spun quartz. Tomahawk's Honeywell H-Guide, packed ring laser gyros, helium neon cavities spinning at 400 Hz, Coriolis forced to 0.03 TIGA/hour. No stars needed. Just Earth itself as GPS avant la lettre. Launch sequence fired at 10:47 local. Griffon rocketed off an A6 intruder at 500 feet AGL, Mach 0.74 over the Amargosa Valley. Wingman chase, T-33 with nosepod IRST. Tracking 0 plume. The Williams F-107 WR-100 turbofan sipped JP-5 at 1.2 pounds second. Exhaust cooled to 200 XZ ambient via serpentine ducts. Soviets jammed VHF noise, irrelevant. Turcom correlated 12-mile slant-range maps every 20 seconds, updating INS via Kalman filters chewing 16-bit arithmetic at 1 MHz. Pop-up at 2 clicks. DSU-15 laser seeker, gallium arsenide diode pulsing 1.06 microns, resolving 0.3 meter vents through 90% obscuration. Boom casing cracked. 1,000-pound Blue 97B cluster rained through Sverdlovsk roofs like God's judgment minus Armageddon. But perfection? No. Prototypes bled. Griffon 03 cartwheeled into Panamint Dry Lake. 77. Turcom tape warp from 120 degree heat buckling mylar. SEP balloon to 200 meters. Engineers at McDonnell Douglas St. Louis tore it down. Humidity sensors added. Cassettes gold-coated Captain for 10 Brarist 6 strain tolerance. Radar cross-section, 0.01 M2 at X-band. RAM coatings of iron ball paint over honeycomb Kevlar, scattering henhouses 8 MHz like ocean spray. Soviet doghouse phased arrays at 40 GHz. Burned out on multipath ghosts. Tomahawk flew the valleys, Doppler matched to 50 ms ground clutter, phase-coherent returns nulling 40 dB. Deeper dive. The DS Massey eyes. Digital scene matching area correlator, 1980 Block 2 upgrade. Onboard CCD camera snapped 1,000 Weiss 1,000 pixel frames at 900 nanometers infrared. Pattern matched against 10,000 preloaded templates from SR-71 Blackbird panchromatic runs. Correlation threshold, 85% edge detect via Sobel operators. Fly over Kama River Bend. Template locks INS slews 0.1 degree mid-flight. Soviets? No equivalent. Their AS-15 Kents rode radar beams, screaming RCS at 2 Medicon, blind without mothership. Frunzy war games ignored it. Terrain huggers need beacons. Wrong. Tomahawk Block 3, 83 IOC, GPS jammed in via 12-channel Rockwell receivers. Cesium clocks synced to Navstar Block 2ER at 10-12 stability. Triple redundant, Turcom primary, DS-MAC terminal, INS backup. CP, 3 meters, a bunker vents keyhole, Skunkworks whispers amplified it. Lockheed's have NAPPOD Paveway 2 laser-guided GBU-10s slung under F-16s. Threaded mock silos at White Sands, 82. Seekerhead, Texas Instruments silicon quadrant detectors. 905 micrometer pulses resolving 0.2 MRAD offsets at 10 clicks. Dropped from 40,000 feet. Mach 0.9 lofted to 20 Glalix pullout. PBXN warhead air bursting 1 meter shy of target 0. Soviet S-300Ps, slave to tombstone illuminators, 120 kiloliter frying seekers mid-air. But lasers danced. Fiber optic gyros in the seeker pod compensated 30-degree al-sec roll, proportional navigation homing at 4G maneuvers. No beam rider, just light, bent to will. Ogarkov new fragments. Mitrokhin archive dumps from GRU moles in Honeywell Sunnyvale. RMA, he scrawled in red pencil, 1984. Soviets countered with mass, 5,000 SS-21s retasked, contact 1 ERA on T-72s for low-altitude pops. Billions vanished into Barkovite radars. Low-frequency VHF to sniff stealth. Kill rate, 12% in Kazakhstan trials, 85. American field tests at China Lake, 98% on the nose. 15E Strike Eagles lofting AGM-130s. TV-guided electro-optical with charge-coupled devices framing 2 dotted green fields. Data linked via Link 16 at 2 Mbps. No emissions. Just eyes, unblinking. The heresy crystallized in Tonopah's Groom Lake Annex. 82 Reforger Sims. B-1Bs at 15,000 meters birthed 48 Tomahawks per sortie. Forking rivers like neural nets, each autonomous. Soviet A-50 AWACS orbited blind. Look-down Doppler gated out the subsonics. PVO Strany's 10,000 Gammon batteries. Saturated. Missile per 100 interceptors. Command nodes snuffed first. Fiber optics lasered. Chagit dead before Moscow stirred. No nukes. No fallout plume for Reuters. Just Politburo ghosts. Empire convulsing leaderless. Back in Yamantau, Petrov's needles would have shattered. America didn't match the hammer. They forged needles threading souls. Ogarkov paced empty halls, cognac glass trembling. The labs hummed on. Block for JASSM inbound. Stealthier still. Physics rewritten. War unilateral. The massacre loomed. Numbers don't forget. November 1983. Reforger 84 Wargame overlay. Frunze Academy basement, Moscow. Frost rhymed the T-64 tracks outside, but inside the air choked on wax crayon smoke from 200 staff officers hunched over 150,000 topo sheets of the North German plain. Projector reels whirred, replaying NATO's Able Archer telemetry, hijacked via Norwegian trawlers sniffing Warsaw-packed UHF at 225 MIRV. Marshal Ogarkov sat stone still at the oak dais, fingers drumming a SS-20 silo silhouette. The sim began. Warsaw-packed blitz, 10,000 T-72s surging the FIBA at 40 km/h. Mi-24 Haynes low-hulling with Sturm ATGMs at 1.4 Machs red tide. Victory in 72 hours. Then the ghosts swarmed. B-1B Lancers, 12 per squadron from Fairford, 40,000 feet over the Baltic, berthed 144 AGM-109s in the first wave. Block 3C, GPS synchronized to Navstar's 10 Hydra 12 clocks. Forking like Hydra branches over the Elbe, each hugging 100 meters AGL through Fulda Gap clutter. Soviet PVO Strany reacted per doctrine, 2,500 SA-10 grumbles, elevating from GDR forests. Tombstone radars pulsing 300 kilovolts at 10 GHz. 3060-32 birds slave to 120 DARE fans. Zaslon M on MiG-31 Foxhound screamed intercepts at 235 Mach, R-33s with 160 km no-escape zones. A-50 mainstays orbited at 10 km. Look-down Doppler gating 500 targets minute. Kill ratio projection, 85% blue splash before Oder River. Frunze math, Soviet Bible, promised it. But the reels lied. Tomahawks danced. Turcom locked comma-like contours onto Hartz Mountain's tapes. DS-Mac eyes snapped Thuringian Autobahn junctions, Sobel edges correlating 92%. RCS ghosts at 0.012 scattered VHF like mist. Henhouse over the horizon drowned in 10,000 false multipath from rolling hills. First decap, 0815. Zulu, 24 missiles punctured Fulda's 5th Guards Tank Army C2. Fiber trunks lasered at 3-meter CP. Motorola radios silenced mid-broadcast. No shrapnel spray, just blackouts. GSFG forward echelons blind, T-80s milling leaderless into minefields. Panic cascaded. SA-10 crews vectored phantoms. 70% munitions expended on clutter echoes, barrels dry before real pop-ups at 2 clicks. MiG-31's Fox 3'd empty sky. R-33 active radars at 30 km burned futile against cooled turbofans. A-50 feeds jammed. American EA-6B prowlers lofting next-generation jammers at 5 GW. ALQ-99 pods nulling S-band links. Second wave, F-15E Strike Eagles from Lakenheath, 48 AGM-130s. Electro-optical TV seekers framing 2-degree fields via Link 16 data links at 2 Mbps. No emissions. Soviet Pantsir S-1s trucked up, 57-meter guns hosing 5,000 RPM. But CCDIs slewed mid-missile. 0.5-meter vents on ammo bunkers at Ramstein pierced. 1,000 LB warheads air-bursting pallets into 500-meter kill radii. Stats etched the tombstone. By hour 6. 312 Soviet command nodes snuffed. 92% operational loss in 8th Guards Army alone. 200 T-72s orphaned, churning diesel into AT-8 Songster ambushes from M1 Abrams hull down. KD 01400. Not a single blue platform downed. Tomahawks evaded 98% intercepts, Paveway 2s from F-16s threading SA-11 tents like thread through needles. Warsaw packed air, 4,000 Su-27 scrambled from Poland. Met F-22 prototypes. YFO-22 at Elmendorf trials data leaked. Stealth at 40 dBSM, AMRAAMs slinging beyond visual range. 512 flankers spiraled earthward, chaff blooming futile. Ogarkov halted the reel at frame 142. Massacre, he rasped, voice gravel over cognac burn. The room reeked of defeat, sweat-soured wool, extinguished paparosi stubs. Reforger wasn't anomaly. China Lake telemetry mirrored it. 1982, Tonopah, 96, Tomahawks versus Mach PVO net, 100% penetration, 28 Mach silos decapitated. Soviet counters, SS-21 Scarabs retasked, Mach 4 pops at 70 kilometers, but low-altitude seekers lagged. Conical scan radars at 9 GHz, blind below 500 meters without queuing. Contact 1 era on bunkers, shredded by BLU-97B bomblets. Tungsten penetrators at 1200 mess punching 150 millimeters equivalent. Return to Yamantau. Petrov's ghost traces replayed in loop. Real war. Day 1. Caspian B-1s fork 500 Tomahawks into Urals veins. Chelyabinsk 70C2 eviscerated. Urigan MLRS batteries silenced pre-volley. No nukes triggered. Dead hand inert without Politburo codes. SS-20 silos intact but leaderless. Techs frozen in denial. Day 2. F-117As. FSD Flights 81. Loft GBU-27s. Laser designated through cloud via PAVE TAC pods. 2000 LB BLU-109s. Cratering Minuteman equivalent pads. Soviet reply? AS-4 kitchens from backfires. 500-kilometer rides on backtrap radars. Bloated RCS at 5 missiles. Splashed by Patriot PAC-2s at 160 kilometers. Numbers don't forgive. Gulf War, 91 preview. Desert Storm Phase 1. 288 Tomahawks versus Baghdad H-3 net. 85% hits. Soviets watched via TASS hacks. SA-6s saturated. No nukes loosed. Ogarkov's 1984 memo, RMA heresy, warned, precision decapitated command without fallout, revanchism impossible. Leadership snuffed in ventilated silence, empire convulsing blind. Mad shattered. Nukes became tombstones, not shields. Hammers poisoned wielders, scalpels harvested souls clean. The verdict burned systemic. Soviet doctrine, quantity über alles, fetishized mass, 50,000 AA guns, 12,000 S-300s by 89. Blind to micro, DARPA's Kalman filters, cesium gyros, edge detect CCDs. Ideological rot. Gosplan choked innovation, BESM-6 at 1 MIPS versus Cray XMP's 200. No risk capital for ghosts. Zhukovsky wine tunnels mocked low observables. Politburo clung to sledgehammer parity, blind to Bistory's edge. Ogarkov paced empty war rooms, medals chiming dirge. We built fortresses, they built keys. By 87, perestroika hemorrhaged rubles into Barkovite radars, VHF stealth sniffers at 100 MHz, 12% kill in trials. Too late. Empire's spine severed, not by kilotons, but millimeters. Petrov's needles stilled forever in 91 Ku Sims. Unilateral harvest. Zero reply. The lapid. Hubris. Systemic. Physics favored the precise. Hammers crushed worlds. Scalpels claimed them intact. But the ghosts evolved. JASM. Hypersonics. Ogarkov's ghost whispered from the archives. Fear not the fireball. Fear the keyhole gaze. December 1991. The Kremlin's Spasskaya tower clock tolled midnight, its chimes muffled by a blizzard scouring Red Square in 40-knot gusts. Inside the Fifth Directorate's vaulted chamber, walls paneled in Siberian larch, lit by argon lamps flickering at 3000 K, Marshal Sergei Akhromeyev stared at the autopsy report. Not bodies, but empire. The ink was fresh. Baltic republics seceding, Warsaw Pact dissolved. 15 republics fracturing the Rodina like a dropped Fabergé egg. No nukes flew. No SS-20s scorched the sky. Just silence. A scalpel's whisper severing the spine. Ogarkov had died in '84, heart seized mid-rant on RMA heresy. But his memos yellowed in the safe. Precision decapitates without reply. Hammers self-poison. Akhromeyev crushed his papyrosa, ash flaking onto 1,000,000 maps of the FIBA, now obsolete lines in dust. The massacre wasn't Reforger Sims, it was real, etched in rubles and ghosts. Flash to the Gulf, January 17, 1991. Desert Storm's needle prick. 288 Tomahawks forked from USS Missouri and B-52Gs over the Arabian Sea. Block 3s hugging Kuwaiti wadis at 80 meters AGL. Iraq's Soviet clone net, SA-6 Gainfuls, 200 kilowatt Fansong radars at 9 GHz. Mirrored PVO Strany. 4,500 batteries, triple-layered from Baghdad to Basra. Doctrine verbatim. Volume fire 9 M38 missiles at Mach 3.5, 120-degree sectors. Saddam's generals, Frunze alumni, smiled at parody illusions. No nukes needed. Scuds answered in kind. The ghosts swarmed. Turcom tapes, etched from U-2 Dragon Lady runs at 70,000 feet, correlated Iraqi dunes to 10 meters CP. DS-MAX CCDs locked Euphrates bridges, edge-matched 94% via canny algorithms on NEC V60 processors. RCS Phantoms at 0.05 M2 scattered Iraqi P-15 squad eyes 150 MHz waves like sand. First wave. 42 missiles punctured H-3 airfield C-2. Fiber nodes lasered. Roland Sams blind before elevator's word. No fallout, just blackout. Iraqi response. 96 SA-6 launches. Barrels dry on clutter ghosts. MiG-29 Fulcrums scrambled from Kayara. RP-29 radars at 30 kilometers burned futile against subsonic Doppler nulls. A-50 clones orbited. Lookdowns gated out by EA-6B ALQ-99 pods pulsing 5 GW noise. Hour 2. F-117As materialized. Low observable V-tails at 30 dBSM. GBU-27s lacing mock Urals vents on hardened bunkers. Texas Instrument Seekers, 905 Namir diodes, 0.1 MARAD resolution. Threaded 1-meter ports at 15 clicks through 95% obscuration. 33 strikes, 100% hits. KD-01 200 command personnel vaporized. No blue losses. By dawn, 542 fixed targets gutted, 88% precision guided. Soviet exports, SA-2s, SA-3s, ZSU-23-4s, 12,000 tubes total, fired 70% munitions on decoys. Kill ratio, 1:85. Tomahawks evaded 98%. Paveway 2s from A-10s shredded T-72 revetments, BLU-109s punching 1.5 meters RHA equivalent. Scuds lofted blind. CEP 1 kilometers versus Tomahawks 3 meters. No reply cascade. Just unilateral harvest. Iraqi air order of battle. 4,500 aircraft, grounded leaderless. Akhrameyev's maps bled red. Gulf validated Yamantau nightmares. Precision severed nerves without apocalypse. Backfires couldn't retaliate. Silos stood impotent. Techs awaiting dead codes. Empire's mirror. Gorbachev's glasnost hemorrhage secrets. Mitrokhin archive floods to MI6. Tomahawk blueprints hawked for genes. Gosplan choked. Elbrus 2 supercomputers at 32 MIPS versus Cray 2's 1.6 gigaflops. No ring laser gyros. Soviet sins clung to floated spheres. 0.5-degree-hour drift dooming low-altitude hugs. Systemic rot festered deeper. Doctrine's hammer fetish. 55,000 AA pieces by 89. Mass swarms over micro-precision. Zhukovsky Labs mocked stealth. RAM burns off. While Skunkworks iterated JSM alphas. 50 dBSM at K-band. Turbofans ejecting at 150 massive swirl. Ideological sclerosis. Central Committee vetoed risk. R&D 0.7%. GDP versus DARPA's 2.5%. No venture gyros. Bauman profs taught VHF triumphs, blind to cesium clocks ticking 10-13. Politburo dreamed mad chess, 26,000 warheads as shields, while China Lake machined keys threading souls. Reforger echoes haunted, 1985 Kazakhstan trials, 120 mock tomahawks versus 2,000 S-300Ps. Soviet kill, 14%. American Tonopah, 88, 96% penetration, 48 silos decapped. By 91 coup, Petrov types watched needles dance unbidden. Yeltsin atop T-55, SS-20s mothballed. No nukes loosed. Precision's shadow felled the bear. Hammers crushed wielders. Chernobyl fallout 86, 32 deaths direct. Irradiated steppe eternal. Scalpels claimed intact. Baghdad stood, Hussein alive, but command eviscerated. Ogarkov's lapid. Fortresses for sledgehammers. Keys for bisteries. Empire crumbled not in fireball, but keyhole gaze. 3-meter vents, Kalman slewed, edge-locked. Physics chose precision. Ideology damned the hammer. Yamantau's granite tombs echoed empty, fans wheezing stale air over dead scopes. Petrov's ghost traces faded to static. Outside, blizzard howled indifferent. Red Square's snowdrifts buried the colossi. SS-20 husks rusting in taiga silos. Nukes slumbered political relics. Mad myth shattered. Generals feared not apocalypse. They feared the whisper, a missile through Moscow's window. Leadership ash in ventilated silence. Motherland convulsing blind. Unilateral. Systemic. Final. The ghosts endure. Hypersonic slicing atmospheres. Eyes unblinking. Ogarkov whispers still. Fear the keyhole, not the fireball.